How does it feel to be interviewed by a photography cohort knowing you do photography and videography?
How does it feel? Well, I like talking about this stuff. I like to teach, obviously, because I've been doing it for a few years now, and so yeah, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys have to ask, but it's cool. I like it.
Has there ever been like a moment you captured that changed the way you storytell with photography?
That is a good question. I like that one. Man, you got me thinking back. Yeah, I would say, man, you really got me digging in my brain of what I've shot now. Oh my God. I think that really started when I used to do a lot of concert photography back around it's like 10, 11 years ago. And I remember looking like for some venues, I would be like right up against stage, like close like you and I right now. And if you're just all in the artist's face like that, you really only see the one view. And I remember noticing that I was only getting like close-ups like that. And I started going to the back of the crowd or the sides of the crowd, and it would get, the full, view of how big the crowd was and who was there and what they looked like and how hyped they were. You know what I mean? So I think probably around that time was when I started really trying to capture the full scene of whatever was happening.
How has your opinion changed of like a successful photo over your entire photography career?
Like, what was a good photo to me early on versus now?
Yeah.
That's a tough one too. Man, you got some good questions. Oh man. I think early on like I'm thinking about some of my earlier photos, and I'm thinking about what young photographers that I know do now. It's like I think a lot of times once young photographers or inexperienced photographers kind of when they get like a fast lens that can go down to like 1.8 or something like that, and then suddenly everything is this extreme depth of field, blurred out background shot, and that's everything you shoot. And I think if you're inexperienced, that looks amazing to you, and it looks really cool, and it is a cool effect. But not everything should look like that. And it's like once you start learning more about how to use depth of field properly and how to use your aperture to make that work the way you want, that's I think that can change things. And I think that once I started noticing that, oh, sometimes you really should see the background of a photo because that helps tell the story. I think that was one of those points for me.
What's like speaking about lenses? What's your favorite lens that you've ever used?
Oh man, I'd say the one that I've used the most that really kind of changed things for me. It's a Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8 lens. I remember I got that probably maybe 2 years after I started shooting pictures, and that was like right in the beginning of when I started doing concert photography. And getting down to that 1.8 allowed me to shoot in darker venues, so that really helped. And that was the first lens that I really started to like actually like make money with.
Would you say like would you say any lens that you've ever used changed the way you also took photos?
I think they all changed the way I take photos. I mean, it's they're all different tools, and so you use the proper tool for the proper thing. I mean, you got a hammer and a mallet, and they both look the same, but you could use them in different ways, right? You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with that. Like, I've done that where I've got in my bag, I've got a telephoto lens so I can shoot like way down the street with it. I've got a close-up lens so I can go really wide, and maybe I've got a fisheye lens or something, right? And I remember for a long time there, everything I was shooting was on that 18 to 35 because that was just my lens for a long time. And then I remember one day I was at this event and everything I was shooting there was just uninteresting to me because it was through this same lens that I used so many times. And I was just like, I needed to change it up. And I remember I put that telephoto on there and suddenly it was like night and day. I was all of a sudden like able to see shots in so many different ways. And I went crazy after that. So, well, crazy with the shots. I didn't go physically. Yeah, whatever.
Good. I'm good.
Those were some great questions, dude. Thank you. I like that. You had me thinking. What's up?
Um, you do film
You might want to push
aside
that a little
from.
closer because you're a little quieter than he is. Or maybe get closer somehow. But yeah, what's up? Go ahead.
We were mentioned that you do film aside from photography, correct?
Film as in like film photography or like
Do
video?
video.
Yeah, I do video.
What kind of things do you produce?
I've done businesses. I've done videos for like businesses that kind of like I remember there was a restaurant in Chicago that was opening up, and my friend who does a marketing he has a marketing agency. He had me do like a video of like their soft opening to kind of they can use it for their launch. And so I did a video for that that was just kind of like showed a bunch of food items and drinks and they had their friends and family in the restaurant before it opened up, and we showed them, they're like cheersing and eating stuff and having a good time, so we did that before. I've done like just like highlight videos from events where you're just capturing the event and you're just going over the highlight moments. I've done like produced story kind of videos where not necessarily films, but where there's like a script to it, and we're real specific with the shots and what we're doing. Yeah, I've done a pretty good variety of stuff. I've done a lot of interviews. I did some wedding and quince stuff. Yeah, I've done a lot of different stuff.
What would you say is the hardest part of your job?
Hardest part of photography? Man, what is the hardest part of photography? That's a tough question. Nobody's ever asked me that. You guys are good today, man. Wow. Hardest part of photography. Keeping it fresh. I think a lot of times, like I was saying about the concerts, where I was using that lens because it was a great lens for that kind of work, where everything just kept looking the same, even if it was a different venue or a different artist that I was photographing. You got to figure out ways to make it new all the time. So, a lot of times with photographers, I've heard this with wedding photographers a lot, where they're always shooting another wedding like every weekend or even like two in a weekend or something like that. And then they get burnt out on it because it's like the same kind of thing over and over and over. So I think that might be the hardest part, because you might shoot different spaces and different events or different things, but you gotta figure out how to keep it fresh.
How do you approach that?
How do I approach that? Like I said, there was the one time where I was using that lens and everything looked the same, and I switched to another lens. So that's one way to do that, I think. Um, what else could you do? One thing that I love to do is I'm a big fan of like art books and photography books. Like I've got a big collection of those things. I've got a lot. I like looking through those and just getting different perspectives from different people on how they do things. And so, yeah, always look at different influences, different people, like where you can find inspiration from. The other thing I like to do, and I've told this to students in my classes before, if you're shooting the same thing over and over and over, right? One thing that I like to do is, like, I shoot a lot of car stuff, right? It can be a different car in a different place. It doesn't matter. And you're going to shoot the same angles of the car. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take those kind of default shots that I know I always take, and then I'll stop myself afterward. And it's like, I'll look through the photos and I'll be like, what else can I do? What am I missing here? And I'll try to find the one thing that I haven't tried yet. Even if it's a stupid idea. In my brain, it sounds like a stupid idea. It's like, we'll just try it.
Do you have any favorite works that you've done?
Yeah, there's definitely favorite images that I've shot, and there's so many of those, and that constantly gets updated. And I love that even like yesterday I shot this, or not, it was Saturday, not yesterday. I shot this car event that was happening in Milwaukee, and it was very different from others that I've seen before. And yeah, there's so many shots in there that I'm like, that might be a new favorite. That might be a new favorite. So it's a constant thing with me, and I love that about it, because it's again keeping it fresh, and I don't feel like I'm tired of it yet.
Knowing what you know now, is there any advice that you would give to your younger self?
That's a question a lot of people ask, and I don't think it's ever a bad question to ask. Um, nah, I don't know. I would just say, if anything, how do, what am I trying to say here? It's like, um, I think there was a certain, because I used to, when I started out, I was doing a lot of street photography where you're just walking around somewhere and just kind of capturing a scene, like downtown Racine or something like that, you know. And I was a little more shy about taking shots of certain maybe people or certain things. Maybe I felt a little weird walking around with a camera in my hand and people are looking at me funny, you know. And I would say to my younger self, like, just do it, like quit being afraid of that. Yeah, because now people see me with a camera and they're like, hey, what's up, you know, and they want me to take a photo. So it's like, yeah, people, yeah, like, don't be afraid of that. I feel like this is longer than 11 minutes. Wow. No, I just like, because you got me like pausing and thinking. So it's like my brain is kind of like slowing down. You know what I mean? You know, not that I'm like slow, but you know. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up? Long time no see.
Yeah, what's going on?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Anyway. Anyway. Who is your favorite photographer and why?
My favorite photographer is Esteban Oriol, and he's a Hispanic photographer from Los Angeles. He shoots, like, again, like when I first started doing photography, it was more like street photography stuff, walking around and just getting like stuff in the streets. And a lot of what I was shooting was just kind of like just grimy alleyway kind of stuff, or, you know, just dirty street scenes and just abandoned buildings and things like that. His style, he's from Los Angeles. He shot a lot of like gang culture stuff, Skid Row, and like just, you know, real street stuff. And his style is so like raw and just very like honest feeling. And it's super it's a style that a lot of people do, but I feel like his look that he does is it's really authentic to him. And he's also just a big inspiration for me, just like how he started. He was like a tour manager for musicians, and his dad was a photographer. And his dad one day was just like, here, take a camera with you next time. And he just started taking photos of, like, you know, behind backstage and concerts and the tour buses and all that stuff. And that's how he kind of developed his style. And it just, like, I don't know, it's a cool story. And then just seeing how far he's come and how much he hustled. And yeah, I love his work.
Well, what was your favorite photo you ever took?
What's that?
Favorite photo you ever took?
Favorite photo that I ever took? They asked me this for the interview Jason did before, and I was stuck between two photos. There's one that I shot in L.A., and it was at this spot called Elysian Park. It's right up there, kind of in the hills, like just north of like Dodger Stadium, and you can see like Dodger Stadium in the background, and there's like all these palm trees. It's really beautiful. And there was a big car cruise meetup going on there. And there's this one intersection there where they always do like cars with hydraulics. They'll do like a hopping competition. And there's one scene that I shot right there with this car, and the front end is in the air, and it says LA Times on the roof of the car. And there's this huge crowd. And I used the filter on the lens that made it look kind of dreamy. And yeah, that to me is just like a dream scene from when I was like your age and the stuff that I was into and what I wanted to do. Like, that was just like a dream shot for me. And the cool thing about that shot is I submitted it for a art gallery in LA, and it was chosen by my favorite photographer, Esteban Oriol, to be in the gallery. And it was also in a photo book that they produced of the gallery.
That's inspiring.
That was pretty awesome. That was a year ago. That was a big moment for me. And I met him and had him sign the photo for me. So it was really cool.
So who inspires you upon like photography way? Like who inspires you to keep you doing what you're doing now?
I don't know. You know, it's I don't know if there's any in particular person, or it's my life now. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like this is how I became a teacher. So that's how I got the job that I have now. The regular job that I have now. It's the people that know me and that's what they expect from me and that's what they see from me and that's what people pay me for. And that's why I'm sitting in this room and you guys are asking these questions. So to me, it's like, I think it's just life at this point that, I get inspired to get up and figure out new ways to do photography.
If you were my age, would you join this program?
Yeah, I mean, you got cool people like me coming in here and telling you how to do stuff and giving you all the tips and tricks and all that, Yeah, why not? I think there's a pretty good deal.
More other questions.
Okay. Good questions, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite part about teaching photography?
Honestly, something like that over there. You got Zarel, who he was never even in my class, really. But I mean, like, the summer program is where I met him. And then after that, he went to Case, and then he gets involved in my classes. Even though he's not in the class, he's always there. He was always there. And just, seeing it go from like just like a little interest, like I'm going to take this class and just check it out, and to now having someone like him who, goes out and actually gets paid for stuff. And I've hired him to do stuff for, jobs that I've been on. So I think that's probably the best thing, is actually seeing the seed grow.
What would you say is your favorite part about the process of like being a photographer?
The process of being a photographer. One thing I've always loved about photography is that it's really, that and videography is really the only ways you can actually like freeze time and just hang on to things, right? And you'll never get those moments back. So it's like you're reliving stories when you look back through photos. And so it's like, regardless of what you're shooting, there is a story behind each photo. And so it's a story of that moment. It's a story of that day. It's a story of that feeling you had at a certain point. You know what I mean? And so I think that might be the favorite thing for me, is like how to actually do that in a way that's going to feel special.
So you mentioned teaching. What like photo classes do you teach?
None now. Yeah, the district cut those out. So the photo classes are now gone from Case and Racine Unified School District. So I guess the closest thing to a photography class that I have now is yearbook. So
And what do you do in yearbook?
Take a lot of photos. You design the yearbook pages. You come up with all the content and just what it's going to look like. And everything we do in yearbook class, it's a mix of, it's basically a negotiation between me and the students. I know what we can and can't do, and the students all have ideas of what they want to see and how they want it to come together. And we basically just kind of negotiate and figure that out. Like what of your ideas are possible and fit with what we're doing this year, and what can we do within this time frame that we have to get it done. And, it's just, what are you guys willing to do? Because ultimately the students are supposed to be doing the work. So, yeah.
And what are your favorite things to like take photos of and shoot?
Favorite things to take photos of. I mean, I guess I could say like the car photography stuff that I do, but it's more than just, I guess, car photography though, because it's scenes and it's stories and it's documentary. And so I think that's probably my favorite. I really love to capture things as naturally as possible. I don't like people to, the other day, let's say I was at a big event, right? A lot of people were there. And I'm just kind of moving around, and again, I like capturing things naturally. I don't like asking people to interact very often. Every now and then I will, but for the most part, if I see you sitting there like that and that looks interesting to me, I don't want you to suddenly be like, and smile at me or something. No, that was what was interesting. As soon as you move and you give me something else, I'm uninterested now, because what I saw caught my eye. And that happened the other day where I saw this couple in the crowd, and they were having a little moment, and it looked really cool, and I got a photo of it. And then somebody pointed it out, and then the people next to were like, "Take our photo," and they did all this. They started wilding out, and I was like, I just walked away from them. you know. So yeah, I like documentary, things that are authentic, things that are real, things that are just natural, and that's one of the big challenges to me is being able to recognize that.
And like out of like things that you take photos of, like you said, like quinces, weddings, like what do you think is like the hardest thing that like you shoot or
The hardest thing
yeah,
to shoot.
what seems like the most difficult?
I mean, you could say something like a wedding or a quince, because with those kind of events, especially a wedding, if you miss the first kiss, you can't really redo that because now it's the second, third, fourth, fifth kiss. You know what I mean? You can't relive some of those moments, and it's that might be like expectation from the client and pressure wise. Things like weddings are probably the hardest when you think of it that way. Portraits can also be really challenging too, because you have to be able to direct the person in order to get, you know, the proper photo for whatever the occasion is that you're getting their photos for. So that can be really hard, being able to communicate properly. Things with lighting can also be challenging because you really need to know how to control the light. So I guess it's just different. You know, there's different styles that have different challenges to them, and I've kind of done all of them. And there's some that I like more than others, of course. But yeah, I don't know. I've in a sense, I think I still struggle with portraits because I'm more of an introvert. That's kind of why I like to not interact as much with people. But then I love catching things naturally too. So,
What's up? What's up?
yo, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. How about yourself? That's great.
Should we adjust that camera because he's taller? Yeah, his head's kind of getting cut off a little bit. There you go.
Okay, so my first question for you is, what like form of marketing do you think has got you the most clients in your career?
Word of mouth.
You think so?
Word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That to me that's the best way. And I remember there was somebody, a business or a client, I remember who was in the conversation, but they pointed out to me that what was it? It was something about like businesses and people with money. They're not really looking at like things like social media so much. They talk to each other, and they refer people to each other,
Yeah.
and that's word of mouth. And so if your work is really that good that people with money are willing to spend it on you, then yeah, there's nothing better than that.
And then, how important would you say networking is? Like, if you want to be a successful photographer?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like if you're just gonna sit in a hole by yourself and hope that work comes to you, man, I mean, that's never gonna. Nah, you got to get out there and talk to people.
Yeah. Do you market on social media at all, really, or like?
Never. I've never once paid for an ad.
And then, was your job for Case through like word of mouth, or is that something you applied for, or did you get recommended?
Oh, it was kind of a mix of. Oh well, I started in 2021, and you know that was when I started. That was the first year that everybody went back to school, and so the year before that was kind of the crazy COVID year, and a lot of teachers left teaching at that point, and the one teacher that was teaching the photography classes at Case left. And so Mr. Malacara is one of my cousins, and they had a job opening, and it was actually Mrs. Malacara who was looking through the job openings or something, or found out about it or whatever. But either way, she knew there was a job opening for stuff that I do, and so she told him, hey, you should, you know, give him a call and tell him to check this out, and maybe he'll, you know, apply for it.
Did you like always think you were gonna be a photographer?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Like, yeah, how'd that come about?
Man, now you're gonna make me go back story time, huh? So when I was my dad was a photographer too, but he wasn't really like a photographer, like how he had a business or anything like that. He enjoyed doing it. He was kind of I guess a glorified hobbyist or something, you might want to call it, because he would do like professional type gigs like quinces and weddings and things like that. But he would do them for like friends and family and people that we knew as like, here's your wedding gift. I'm going to photograph your wedding and make you an album. And so I remember as like a little kid, we would go to like a wedding and he's running around taking photos. And then, you know, a week or two later, he's sitting at, you know, the table and he's got stacks of, you know, photo prints from, you know, the wedding, and then he's putting together a photo album. And then he also had like photography magazines around the house, and as a kid I would just look through them because there's a lot of cool photos, you know, and I didn't know what I was looking at. I'm just bored and looking at a magazine, you know. And so I don't know, I feel like something probably got in my head at that point, and I never really thought about photography as a thing. Like I didn't at all. Like when I was in high school, I remember hearing my sister talking about taking a photography class, and she liked doing photography. She would sometimes go out with a camera and whatever. But I remember her talking about photography class, and then when I was in high school, she's like 6 years older than me, so we weren't in at the same time. But I remember when I was in high school, I just decided to take a photography class, and then I did really bad in it because I just didn't take it seriously. Yeah.
Me, Denim, and Rocco.
There's a lot of kids, but anyway, you know, I didn't take it seriously. I ended up passing it, but just barely. And I didn't really think about it. In the 90s is when I started going to like car shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I would take a camera with just to get like a photo of whatever looked cool. There was never any thought of like, this is a good photo. It was just like, this is a cool car and I'm going to take a photo of it. You know, so there was no technique involved in what I was doing way back then. It was just snapshots. And it wasn't until like, I didn't go to college until I was in my mid-20s. And I went for visual communications, which included photography classes, and I had to get a camera for that. So I started taking photos for classes, and at the same time, I knew a lot of people within the world of music.
Yeah.
And so I shot, you know, different portraits for people for like album or mixtape covers or, you know, a promo flyer or something like that. And so I did, you know, a bunch of that random stuff, but even still at that point, I didn't really like photograph in like the sense of like trying to have a technique to it. I was just like, oh, we need a photo for this. Cool. I'm gonna take a photo for it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, we need a photo, so let's do it. It wasn't until I was living in Texas, and I think I was about 32 or so. It was like years later. And I was working in downtown, and I just wanted to do something after work to kind of unwind. You know, and you know, you go walk around downtown, so you get a little bit of exercise, steps in, whatever, you know. And, you know, I just try to create some cool stuff. So that's when I started to actually take it seriously and actually try to have some technique to it and make it look good.
Yeah. Quick story time for me. I was really similar. Like before I started doing it as like a business, like I am now, I took pictures with my mom's camera 2 times. Like I was just like, Mom, can I take these photos? I'm going to this car meet. And I did that, and nothing really ever came from it. But I always really liked these photos I took. Like it was always something where I was like, would show all these people. I'd be like, look at these photos. Like I think they're really cool. And then like eventually in 8th grade, I shot a basketball game. My friends were like, your mom has a camera. You should come take photos. And that happened, and then the spark just like happened, and it just turned into a whole business, like what I am now, doing like shows and all these cool things, events.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I always like, you know, I the classes that I've taught are all like creative classes. And, you know, I get it. You know, a lot of you are at, you know, the point where you start getting like your first job and stuff like that. And, you know, I mean, who really wants a job?
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know if anybody actually wants like a job. People want to work, but you don't really want a job. Yeah. You know, there's a bit of a difference there, you know? And so like I would always tell that to students in class, like, you know, I don't really want to have a job either. You know, I want to work, you know, but I want it to be fun. I want it to be creative. I want it to be something I enjoy. So, you know, I've always kind of preached that to students, that like, you know, if you get good at this kind of stuff, you can make your own business, and, you know, that's your thing now. You won't have to have a job. You won't have to, you know, work for someone else or whatever, you know?
Yeah, so earlier you mentioned you went to college for something in the realm, like not photography.
Visual communications.
Yeah. Do you think it's like worth it for a kid like me or just a kid who wants to be an artist to go to college for it?
I always tell students from school, nothing's ever guaranteed, you know? And there's a lot of people that have aspirations to do some kind of business or art or something like that. And there's a lot of people that don't make it because it takes a lot to be successful in business. You really have to, you can't, like, talent only gets you so far.
Yeah.
And where your talent stops, your determination, your will, you have to motivate yourself after that, you know, because there's a lot of talented people out there, but what's going to separate you? You know, you really have to have that hustle and grind in you.
Sure.
And a lot of people don't have that, so they fail.
Yeah.
And so I tell students, go to Gateway, go to MATC, go get a 2-year degree. It's going to cost you like maybe at most like 20 grand.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take 2 to 3 years. And you can still hustle in your whatever your business is while doing that. And if for some reason something doesn't work out, and there's a lot of reasons why things don't work out, especially once you get in your 20s. I mean, maybe you fall in love with somebody and suddenly you have a kid and now, you know, you have to go get a job. And if you have that degree, well, then that's going to get you a better paying job and better. Yeah, it's a good fallback plan. And then once, you know, you get yourself settled and you get yourself kind of established and things are good, then you can go back to maybe trying your hustle again. So I always encourage students, you know, and I had this conversation the other day too. I always encourage students, like, at least go for a 2-year degree, at least get something, and just to make sure you've got something better than a diploma.
Yeah. And then my last thing I wanted to ask is, like, for any like up and coming like entrepreneurs or people who want to start photography business, do you have any like tips, like anything that you can say that's helped you in your career?
Work. Get your ass to work. Network and just work.
Yeah. I'd say, like, from my experience, networking is pretty much everything in photography. Like,
it's a lot of it, but even if you network with the best people you could network with, if you don't have projects to show that are going to impress them, then your networking is not really going to go far anyway.
Yeah.
So work.
But like,
even if you're not hired, find things to work on.
Yeah. That's another important. Sometimes you got to shoot things even
if you're not paid. That's that point that goes beyond talent.
Yeah.
That's that point of will. That's that point of determination where it's like, I'm going to do this whether I'm getting paid or not.
All right, yeah. So my questions for you. Thank you.
Okay.
When trying something new, when has it become something you do regularly?
When trying something new, when did it become something regularly?
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you're thinking about, or is there like
just like in your photos or like in your film?
Like a technique maybe? There's a lot of I've done so much of this stuff, and especially like the same content so many times, that I really try to, I'll do my default shots a lot of times, especially like there's some days where I'm just not feeling it so much and it just kind of feels like I'm doing the same things over and over. I'll go through my default shots and then I'll stop myself and try to figure out something new. And there's sometimes those new things that I try really suck, you know, and it just doesn't work out. And usually I try to like kind of look at those photos and sit with them and just try to figure out like, okay, why did I think this was going to be a good idea and why it didn't work out? And I'll try to, pick something out from it that maybe I can take and try again in a different way, maybe, you know, and it's just kind of chip away at this little thing that I kind of see until I figure it out, you know? And that's kind of just what it is, I guess, is like, you know, with anything new, it's probably not going to be the best way you could do it the first time you do it, you know? And so if you see something there, if you see something that has potential, you just kind of chip away at it until you figure it out. And then once you kind of feel like you figured it out, that's when it becomes a routine, because now it's like, I got the formula. Now I know what to do with this.
Yeah. How do you try to stay on trend?
How do I try to stay on trend? I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't care what the trend is.
Oh, okay.
Nah, I don't look at that.
What's your favorite place to take photos?
Favorite place to take photos? I don't really have one. It's just outside. I like shooting street scenes. So I guess I always loved like grimy locations. Yeah, it's more interesting. The pretty spots are easy. You know, when you see like a pretty scenery, like a mountain and a lake or something like that, and there's clouds and a sunset, that's easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When if you can make something ugly look beautiful, then that's nice.
That's it. That's all.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no.
I got one question for you, bro.
You got one question for me. I was gonna say, what would you do for a Klondike bar? Can we adjust the Klondike? I don't know.
All right. Decent.
That works.
Who is No Gimmicks?
This has nothing to do with photography.
Who is No Gimmicks, man?
So, I've done a lot of different. Damn, dude said Nardwar. Yeah. I don't really even. Nobody asks me about that now. Wow. So yeah, I've always done a lot of different creative work over my life. You know, when I was a teenager, y'all's age, I used to draw all the time, and that was kind of my thing back then. And then eventually, in my early 20s, I got into music, and I used to do a lot of like recording and production and stuff like that. And yeah, at first, I don't know, I kind of didn't really have a name, or I just kind of, I don't know, I never was set on one. And then at some point, I came up with the name No Gimmicks, because that's just like my photography. I like shooting things authentic. She asked, you know, following a trend. I don't like following trends. You know, I like doing what feels right to me. I don't care what the trend is. And so that's what I'm saying, is that there's no gimmick to whatever I do. And yeah, that's the way I like my music. I don't want to listen to a bunch of music that's all gimmicky.
It's just the way you said it so serious. I'm like, yeah.
It's just, hey, you're asking a serious question. I mean, that was my...
What was the music that was gimmicky at the time? Like, what were you trying to stand out from?
stuff that's trendy.
The trend changes. Like, what's like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. This stuff
So
that's
the
trendy.
mainstream...
The
okay.
mainstream. Like, I don't care what's popular.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just never been me.
It's my only question. That's all I had.
Did I answer it properly for you?
Yeah. I just wanted to know who No Gimmicks was, man.
It's an old version of me that I guess is a different version at this point.
I was gonna...